Yeah.
And today I think Rebecca is going to give us
a summary
of yesterday's session.
Yeah, so Hare Krishna, everyone. So just to recap, last night we did, second canto, fourth chapter. We did text 20 last night. And so we have all these different types of pati. And so there's all these different ways to translate pati, like leader, owner, proprietor, master, husband. And then I think I got them all. We have Shriya Pati, so owner of all opulence, Yagya Pati, the director of all sacrifices, Prajapati, the leader of all living entities, Dhyam-pati, the master of all intelligence, Lokapati, the proprietor of all planets, Dharapati, proprietor of the earth, and Gatishpati, he's the lord of all destinations. And so I think, and we talked about a lot. I mean, we kind of broke down each and every one of these. My reflection, I think my takeaway from everything was that he's really the leader, owner, master of everything. I mean, and it can make you feel kind of silly to think that anything is yours, to think that I'm the owner or the proprietor of anything, like even my own body or my home or my children. Like am I the proprietor of any of that? I don't think we are. I mean, obviously, Krishna is the proprietor of everything.
Wow, nice.
It's very nice, Rebecca.
That's so wonderful. Yeah, Krishna actually says, right, in the Bhagavad Gita, that one who knows that actually knows peace. Yeah. Prabhupada wanted that particular verse to be distributed as a peace formula.
Yeah, I guess it's very hard to be any kind of pati. And
you speak from experience.
Yes. And Krishna is saying that don't bother about being a pati. Just be a patit.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Patit means someone who's who needs help.
Who needs help.
That's nice. Yeah. It's so much better, to be in that position, because it's such an artificial position. We try so hard. I mean, the word pati, of course, could mean husband, but it could also mean any position where you have taken the responsibility
for anything,
for anyone.
So it's gender neutral in that sense.
Yeah, it is gender neutral. Like even a mother in that sense, right?
Yeah.
She's sort of trying to, direct, the life of her child, and it's just such a struggle. Any position like that. So yeah, when we understand, and of course we still have to do what we have to do, but we do it as being a representative of that original controller and maintainer.
So Krishna is both the pati and is also the pita. Pita means the father.
Amritvani is asking, if pati means master leader, what is the meaning of patni then?
Patni means the bigger master and the bigger controller.
Yeah, Prabhupada actually says, right, that in the material world we have all these words like men and women, but actually both men and women, they're both actually acting as Purusha. Both Purusha and Prakriti are acting as Purusha. So Purusha means men, Prakriti means women. But because they are both in so the word Purusha really means an enjoyer. So because both of them are acting as an enjoyer, so actually they are both Purusha, acting as a Purusha. So no difference, right? So, they're laughing. Sitting together, yes. It's
Ni in Sanskrit also every day, every moment. So one who is a real master and controller at every moment is a patni. And pati is a real master and controller only a few times, rarely.
So very nice. Thank you, Rebecca. We also encourage you to, add your own, like you don't have to necessarily just repeat what we talked about yesterday, but if you want to add something of your own, that would be nice too. So feel free. Do you have anything, Rebecca?
Well, I mean, it just really made me think about how all these things, like I feel silly thinking that any of this is mine, and it really just highlights, I don't know, how everything I feel like I've been doing besides, my Krishna consciousness, everything else is, it's like futile. It's all for nothing. Like, what is it for? It's all going to be gone one day. And I guess too, like, it makes me think about, in other verses, how we've talked about Krishna being the enjoyer. Like, we're not even meant to be the one enjoying it. I mean, so yeah, that's kind of what it really makes you think about, the way you think about the things you have in your life. I don't even want to say the things you own, like the things that are in your life. I even thought about like, how, it's almost like Krishna lends these things to us. Like my body is almost like a rental. Like he gave it to me, like, oh, here, you can use this, but it's not really mine. And so I should take care of it accordingly. Like I should care for it the way, in a way that like honors and respects Krishna. And we should care for everything in our purview, the same way, because it's his.
So nice.
So beautiful.
So beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking about the same point this morning, that because I read something yesterday night about how, we think that this body is me. So I serve this body, and I just go.
Oh, yeah, Mataji. I'm going to forward that to all of you.
So nice,
This is about serving a master that.
What is that? Like, okay, you could just read a little section.
It is on my phone. If you bring my phone.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she was just talking about how all our energy and efforts throughout our life goes in serving this body, which is so pointless. Actually, this body is just a source of all misery. Yet if somebody is giving us so much misery, would we serve that master? And we try to kind of stay away from that person. But here we have this body and mind, which is continuously, all it does is gives us misery and just spins us around. Just spins us around. Not this, not this, not this. This is not good. That is not good for me. And we continuously keep serving this master throughout our lives till the very end. And she was lamenting that if I had even that kind of devotion, even a tiny fraction of that devotion to Krishna, my life would be perfect. The kind of devotion I have towards my body and mind, willingly or unwillingly.
Yeah, it's very nice. All right, so let's move into our Bhagavatam.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Namachaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. Continuing from Canto 2, Chapter 4, Text 21. Yadangre vidhyan samadhidhotaya dhiyanupashyanti hi tattvamatmana vadanti chaitat kavayo yatharucham same mukundo bhagavan prasidata.
It is the personality of God in Shri Krishna, this liberation. By thinking of his lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of authorities, the devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. The learned mental speculators, however, think of him according to their whims. May the Lord be pleased with me.
It's very interesting that in his prayers, like the first 2-3 verses, Sukadeva Goswami emphasizes the form of the Lord. And he again talks about this whole concept of impersonalism and personalism. That the impersonalists, their position is kind of misplaced. And here again, he's bringing the same thing, that those who are of real intelligence, dhiyanu pashyanti tattvam atmana, that by their true intelligence, they see you as a person, and then they worship you, thinking of your lotus feet at every second, following in the footsteps of the authorities. The devotee in trance can see the absolute truth. So can see means they can see the form of the absolute truth. And this is in following the footsteps of the authorities. And the learned mental speculators, although he's saying learned, they may be learned, they may be very learned. Kavaya, vadanti chetat kavayo yatharucham. So they are thinking according to their whims. They are not following anybody. They are following their own mind. Although they may be very learned, but they are following their own mind. Whereas the devotees, they are following in the footsteps of the previous authorities. So they are actually the real learned people here. Dhyana Pashyanti.
I was just thinking, I was reminded of that example that we heard yesterday from this amazing devotee. That, you know, just like he was saying, right, that how you have a garland and the mental speculators would come and they would try to speculate, is there honey in there? Is there no honey in there? And much as they try, you know, to squeeze out that honey in all their different mental gymnastics or austerities, they're not able to get that honey.
And they even reject the honey, that there is no honey, or the honey is unreal.
The honey is unreal, right? So they even though they're seeing the flower, but they don't have access to that honey. But the devotees, because they're following, so then he talked about how these devotees are actually like honeybees. So they're able to extract that honey out of that flower. And because, you know, we are approaching the devotees in the previous authorities and the great personalities, so then for us, the honey becomes easily accessible. So, you know, so this is the difference, you know, how difficult we want to make the process versus how sublime and easy. Prabhupada said Krishna consciousness is easy and sublime. And it is easy and sublime. Why? It's not easy otherwise. The reason it is easy and sublime is because, you know, we have a real way of just, you know, taking shelter of the devotees. That's why it's, otherwise it is very difficult.
I guess this beautiful prayer by King Kulashekara, we should memorize this. Prabhupada sang this with so much emotion. His recording is there, you can listen to that. So this was a great king in South India, King Kulashekara, and he composed these beautiful prayers, which are, maybe we should also go over them sometime. So in that he says that, Krishna Tvadiya Pada Pankaja Panjarantam Addeva me Vishatu Manasa Rajahamsa Prana Prayana Samay Kapavata Pitte Kantavarodhana Vidho Smaranam Kutaste.
My Lord Krishna, I pray that the swan of my mind may immediately sink down to the stems of the lotus feet of your Lordship and be locked in the network. Otherwise, at the time of my final breath, when my throat is choked up with cough, how will it be possible to think of you? You know, these three things, right? Kapha, Pitta, Vata, they're continuously throwing us off. And then we know this. We know this from experience when we catch a cold and our throat is choked up with mucus. Then it's so hard, you know, to chant or think of Krishna. And at the time of death, all of this is going to be in its superlative. You know, like it's going to be like so intense, right? And so if we don't allow the mind to sink into and be locked up with Krishna, you know, when we chant, this is what we want to pray for and aspire and try, that our minds are locked up in this network. So nice, so beautiful. So the whole idea of Krishna consciousness is to follow in the footsteps of the previous devotees. That is the process. The Prabhupada is again talking about this. Anupashyanti. And then can you just read this bringing it back to humbleness? I was talking about this humbleness of the pure devotee who is 100% engaged in his service, puts the devotees of the Lord in a trance by which to realize everything, because to the sincere devotee of the Lord reveals himself, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita 10.10. He reveals himself to a devotee when he is fully satisfied by the devotee's service attitude. Sukadeva Goswami is not a mental speculator or compromiser of the theory of as many ways, as many conclusions. Rather, he prays to the Lord only, invoking his transcendental pleasure. That is the way of knowing the Lord. So many things, right? It's all connected. This idea, this principle of humility is connected to this principle of following in the footsteps of the devotees, which is in turn connected to this ability to remember Krishna, even when our throat is completely choked up at the time of death. So it's all related, and it cannot happen without this service attitude.
Yeah, without following. And following means, as Maharaj was explaining yesterday, that saralta, that simplicity of the heart, where we serve Krishna and his devotees without any ulterior motive, and we are willing to accept what they are saying fully into the heart. That is the meaning of saralta, or simplicity of the heart. Text 22. Prachoditayena pura saraswati vitanvatajasya satim smitim hadi swalakshana pradurbhut kilashata same rishinam risabha prasidatam.
May the Lord, who in the beginning of the creation amplified the potent knowledge of Brahma from within his heart and inspired him with full knowledge of creation and of his own self, and who appeared to be generated from the mouth of Brahma, be pleased with me.
So one interesting refrain that Sukadeva Goswami is using throughout is prasidatam, that may you be pleased with me. And this is a prayer that we can be having in our consciousness throughout the day, that let me chant your name in such a way that you are pleased with my chanting. We are chanting for Krishna's pleasure. When we are doing anything, deity worship or offering food, or even our day-to-day interactions with others, let me act in such a way that Krishna is pleased with me, the devotees are pleased with me. So when that, rather than my own mind being pleased, when we have that focus, then we can, just by that attitude, we can make rapid advancement. And whatever we do becomes transcendental just by that attitude. That's what Sukadeva Goswami is praying for. Before speaking Bhagavatam, he's asking Krishna that be pleased with me. May you be pleased with me.
This awakening of knowledge, Prabhupada was talking about how Krishna, he endows all the required knowledge put it in every living being. So whatever knowledge we have, whatever abilities we have, it's actually ultimately granted to us. And when something is granted to us, it can also be taken away. And so we always live, on this cusp of, being a receiver and, knowing that it doesn't belong to us.
This whole process of knowledge, I guess Prabhupada is exploring that, how first it was revealed to Brahma. When Brahma first tried to find out by empirical method, like he started going up and down on the lotus flower on which he was born, trying to figure it out himself, and he could not figure out anything. All he saw was darkness. So Prabhupada says, like the modern scientist or whoever, philosopher, when they try to find the truth just by their own effort, they
just find voidness.
They just want to find voidness and darkness.
Yeah.
And in the darkness, they say there is no God. Because they can't see anything. Krishna has closed their vision, so they only see darkness. And
they come back and they say, no, it's all dark out there, right?
Yeah, like Prabhupada often quotes this, like when the Russians, they first sent the satellite to the space, and they came back and they say, we went to the space, we saw there is no God. We declared that there is no God. So this is, and here he's comparing it to Brahma, in whose heart is a prakrita sound.
Yeah, should we read this? This is so nice.
Prakrita, let's see.
There is a gulf. The Vedas are therefore called Aparushaya, or not imparted by any created being. Before the creation of the Lord was there, Narayana Parobhyam Tat. Therefore, the words spoken by the Lord are vibrations of transcendental sound. There's a gulf of difference between the two qualities of sound, namely Prakrita and Aprakrita. The physicist can deal only with the Prakrita sound, or sound vibrated in the material sky, and therefore we must know that the Vedic sounds recorded in symbolic expressions cannot be understood by anyone within the universe unless and until one is inspired by the vibration of supernatural Aprakrita sound, which descends in the chain of disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahma, from Brahma to Narada, from Narada to Vyasa and on. So I was just thinking of actually Mukunda Maharaj, who talks about this, that every devotee, when we are speaking, it's not what we are speaking. He says it's the vibration that we carry that is actually, that carries the potency. So to the extent, so the knowledge is the same. And this we have seen it, that, we are repeating the same subject matter. When you hear the subject matter from the lips of a realized devotee, then that actually enters into the heart and really creates a movement, creates a flow of rasa. This is Shrotamyam Brahmanishtam.
Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. Text 23. Bhute mahadve ya ima puro vibhur nirmaya shete yadamushu purushaha Te gunan sodasha shodashatmaka solan krishishta bhagavan vachamsi me.
This is a very beautiful verse.
Yes.
May the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who enlivens the materially created bodies of the elements by lying down within the universe, and who in his Purusha incarnation causes the living being to be subjected to the 16 divisions of material modes, which are his generator, be pleased to decorate my statements.
So here, Sukadeva Goswami was asked by Parikshit Maharaj to describe the process of creation. He wants to know about how this material universe was created. So here, this is pretty much his final verse of this prayer. So here he is describing the process of creation very succinctly. But before he starts speaking further, he is praying to Krishna that may Krishna be pleased to decorate my statements. That whatever I speak is actually blessed by you. Whatever I speak is authorized. It's not coming from my own mind. It is decorate my statements means that I'm speaking in line with the authorities, my previous acharyas, and or rather, my statements beautify you. It also means that because he doesn't want himself to be known as a great speaker, but he wants to speak in such a way that Krishna is beautified by his statements. That is the meaning of decorate my statements. Prabhupada.
And Prabhupada, actually, when I was reading this, I was also remembering Prabhupada's poem that he wrote in Jaladuta, where he says that, I'm just a humble beggar, and if you like, you can make my words understandable for people who are so absorbed in modes of passion and ignorance. And if you've come, you brought me here, now you make me dance as you like. So Prabhupada is also making a very similar prayer that please allow my words to penetrate their hearts and let them understand my words. And so this is something that we can also pray for, because without Krishna's blessings and grace and empowerment, our words will not, and we see that Prabhupada's words have created a revolution in the impious lives of the world's misdirected civilization. All over the world, these words have actually created such a movement. So why? Because these words have been directly blessed by Krishna. Prabhupada said that these are not, I'm not writing these. And it's amazing, he would actually write something and he would read it. Like no author really sits down to read his own books. But Prabhupada would spend time just reading his own books. He said, I haven't written them.
And like you'll see that how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, when he's writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's also praying similarly that I'm writing just for my own purification. We are so writing or speaking, or even like Vasishika Prabhu says, when we are going out on book distribution and sharing these books, we are doing it for our own purification. So every act, the bottom line is let Krishna be pleased by that. Decorate my statements. And normally when we speak anything, if you are speaking from our own mental speculation, it doesn't have any value. Those statements are dead actually, and they don't really attract anybody. So decorate means when something is beautiful transcendentally, then only it will attract the heart of somebody else. Right? Anything beautifully decorated attracts. So he's saying that let me speak in such a way which is infused with transcendental energy, so that it may attract the heart of people who are going to read Bhagavatam later on.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I read that Prabhupada says this, that when a person starts to write, they must receive the order.
Yes.
They must receive the order from from their spiritual master, or receive permission. Because unless and until that act is blessed, or empowerment is provided, otherwise then it doesn't have that same effect. So.
And Prabhupada let's read a little bit of
this.
The devotee always thinks of himself as instrumental for anything successfully carried out, and he declines to take credit for anything done by himself. The godless atheist wants to take all credit for activities, not knowing that even a blade of grass cannot move without the sanction of the Supreme Spirit. Sukadeva Goswami therefore wants to move by the direction of the Supreme Lord, who inspired Brahma to speak the Vedic wisdom. The truths described in the Vedic literatures are not theories of mundane imagination, nor are they fictitious, as less intelligent class of men sometimes think. The Vedic truths are all perfect descriptions of the factual truth, without any mistake or illusion. And Sukadeva Goswami wants to present the truths of creation not as metaphysical theory or philosophical speculation, but as the actual facts and figures of the subject, since he would be dictated by the Lord exactly in the same manner as Brahmaji was inspired.
And I just really like the last line. I mean, not the last line here, but this line here. Such Vedic knowledge of religion is disseminated by authorities like Sukadeva Goswami because it's a humble devotional servitor of the Lord who has no desire to become a self-appointed interpreter without authority. So beautiful. I think let's try and finish this. I think we're almost.
Okay. Namastasme Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Papurgyanam Ayam Saumyayan Mukhamburuhasavam.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scripture. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge, dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. So, as is the etiquette to offer obeisances to the spiritual master. So Vyasadeva was a spiritual master. And he's getting his blessings, and the knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. So beautiful. Can we just read what Prabhupada is saying here? Srila Sridhar Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para or transcendental. So this Vedic scripture or nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Sukadeva. So that means this Bhagavatam is actually this nectar dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Although it's spoken by Vyasadeva and Sukadeva Goswami, but originally it is the nectar coming from the mouth of Krishna. And the same thing applies to Bhagavad Gita is also Yan Mukhamburu Hasavam. It is Krishna's nectar coming out directly from his mouth. And then it's transferred to, transferred to the devotees. Pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So even the sound vibration that we are receiving is really the same, nectar that the gopis, are experiencing in the intimate relationship with Krishna. Wow. All right. Is this the? Yeah, I think one more. Yeah. Etadevatma bhurajan naradaya viprichyate vedagarbo bhadat sakshat yadaha hariratmanaha. My dear king, Brahma, the firstborn, of being questioned by Narada, exactly apprised him on the subject as it had been directly spoken by the Lord to his son, who was impregnated with Vedic knowledge from his very birth. So basically, Brahma heard it from Lord Vishnu, and then he's passing on to Narada, establishing the chain of authority, chain of custody. That's it. All right, so we'll stop here and hear from you. So this is Sukadeva Goswami speaking about Brahma, who was being questioned by Narada. So go ahead, guys. Any thoughts from you? Want to add to them?
There was a sentence which said that the Lord reveals himself to a devotee when he's satisfied with the service attitude. So what I liked about it was that the Lord is satisfied with the service attitude and not the service. So attitude determines the altitude of a person's growth, right? So I was thinking it's not just the service, but the attitude with which the service is being done. So that was a catchy word for me. And I was speaking with Amritwani also today, and she's reading this book by Yamuna Mataji, like her biography, and she was sharing it with me that how the service, what was it? Yeah, doing service is really important, but giving service is all the more important. So I was thinking that how the attitude, and it can bring so much of peace within us, and it's the next level of service that we are engaged in. That's also a service, right? Giving service to somebody else. So yeah, I just wanted to share that.
So nice. My goodness.
Service.
Yeah, I loved it. Service attitude. Yeah. So wonderful. And that's what we want to refine, right? Because, yeah, very nice. Anybody else? Vishnuratha Prabhu, any reflections, comments from you?
Yeah, Hare Krishna Mataji Prabhuji. I was thinking like all the devotees always give gratitude or thanks to Lord Krishna or their gurus for whatever their achievements are. I mean, whatever little, even if they have done little endeavor or no endeavor or a lot of endeavor, but they never take the credit. They always give the credit to their guru or fellow devotees or Krishna. That's very like, it brings down the ego that I might have within me, like I'm achieving this or that. So it brings down the level of false ego that I might have a little bit by listening constantly all these points.
So nice. Yeah. Yeah, we've just been here in Mayapur and just marveling at Krishna consciousness and the culture, which is a container that can actually hold this Krishna consciousness, this bhakti. And it's amazing. It's amazing. Just that whole atmosphere of, what it means to be a servant of the servant, both in body, in words, in mind, in actions. It is very inspiring actually to see how natural it is. Anything else apart from that, where we are trying to find a high platform for a false ego, it doesn't satisfy the self.
It doesn't.
It's such an endeavor for nothing.
And I was just thinking this culture and this attitude is a miracle grow for our bhakti. And anyways, our bhakti is very feeble and very weak, no matter how good we are, so-called good. But when this culture is there, even that weak bhakti multiplies rapidly. So we don't have to make so much effort. Just by that culture, our bhakti grows automatically. And it makes bhakti so much easier, that culture. So, and it's very inspiring to see this culture.
Yeah, we were just talking about, we keep talking about mercy, mercy, mercy. So we asked this question yesterday, that what does it mean and how do you receive this mercy? And this devotee was just saying that how, when the heart of a devotee melts in gratitude for the service, like when we really render service in that mood, then when the heart melts, then that through the melting of the heart, the mercy will just flow. One doesn't have to ask for it.
If you ask for it, you don't get it. He was saying, if you ask for it, you don't get it. You get it without asking. And that happens when the heart of another devotee melts by your attitude and by your service. Even more so by attitude.
More so by attitude, yeah. Very nice. Anybody else? Anshul, Anchita, Bhaktilata, go ahead. I just want to hear from all of you guys. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Prabhuji. Can you hear us?
Yes.
So many great points, and Good discussion. So we were thinking about I mean how to stay in that mode that I'm not the doer. And so when I was a kid, my mom used to say these two lines to me when there was anything which seemed to be very difficult to do. Like I can't do that because it's so difficult. I like anything. So she used to say, I mean, it's in Hindi. ना मैं कुछ कर सका ना कुछ करने योग जो कुछ करो आप ही करने योग. So, and she still says that, but now I think we have expanded to not anything which seems difficult. In addition, anything that we have done, that ना मैं कुछ कर सका ना कुछ करने योग जो भी करो आप ही करने योग, and that's like you think yourself as just an instrument through which things are happening. And I've tried a couple of times doing that, and whenever I do, I feel really peaceful, really peaceful. Like I can't explain that how it felt. It felt light because when I feel that there's something which I have done, I feel heavy with pride, but with heavy, there's a heaviness as well. So when we were talking about how we can think, we should think about we are just an instrument. So I was just those words were coming into my mind. So I just wanted to share that.
Also, the other thing that happens when we think we are an instrument is that if Krishna chooses to use one instrument, like a surgeon, you know, when I think of an instrument, I think of a dentist or I think of a surgeon, right? And I think, okay, it's his prerogative, you know, which instrument he wants to use for what purpose. And then we don't feel bad that, why is that instrument being used more often than me? You know, why do I only get used for this much time? So.
And I guess being a good instrument is actually very safe position, because anybody who's an artist, anybody who is a scientist or whatever, or writer, they always keep their instrument very close to their heart. So writer will make sure that the pen they write with is like nicely protected, cleaned, and it's rightly available in the right position. And if it moves even an inch from here to there, the writer is, oh, who moved my pen? And their heart is always invested in that pen or that brush or that whatever the instrument is. They are connected deeply with the instrument, and their heart lies in the instrument. So being an instrument is actually a very glorious position rather than being the doer, because then who cares about the doer? Krishna is more concerned about his instruments.
Nice, I like that so much. Yeah,
just one more thing. When all her learning, just sharing one more. So she still says that सेवा करने वाले से सेवा देने वाला ज़्यादा बड़ा होता है. Like the who's giving you the
I know all these we have all these Hindi phrases today. We have to translate them.
Yeah, which means that someone who's giving service to you is greater than the one who is doing the service, because giving service is a mercy on the one who is actually doing the service. So always thankful to the person who is giving the service, and doing that you'll always feel feel like gratitude and won't feel pride ever, because even the service you got it because of someone's mercy. So
can you also translate the first one for Delia and everybody else?
That's a tough one. Huh?
That's a tough one. I'll try.
Well, it just means that, I have no qualification, and whatever I'm doing is actually by the qualification of the Supreme Person, right? By his empowerment, essentially. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Delia, any thoughts from you? So nice to have you again.
Hey, yeah, I really struggle lately hearing all these kinds of verses, because it does kind of bum me out, and I need to thinking that this is where I should be, and I forget that this is where I'm going. So I'm just trying to remember that.
Yeah, and it's true for all of us, that we're hearing, and just by hearing this, we make another baby step.
Just by hearing it with an open heart, And you're saying just getting bummed out about it, that's also
Yeah.
a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but we should not get so bummed out that it feels impossible.
Right.
Because it is going to happen, but it just, we have years and years and years and lifetimes of conditioning to deal with. And so we have to really be patient because, for the first time, the mind is actually encountering a whole other paradigm. The good news, and this is the most exciting news, is that the mind is accepting this paradigm. And it is getting attracted to this paradigm. But the heart is saying, I'm not there, my dear mind. I know you like this, but my heart is still kind of on the, in a lag. But the heart will follow, if we just keep ourselves in the right association, heart will catch up, right?
Yeah, I guess the mind's kingdom is being taken away, and the mind doesn't like that.
Well, it does liking it. That's why we keep hearing it over and over again. I was just thinking that I'm sure that even this Bhagavatam classes to a large extent must be a little repetitive because we keep going back to the same points, right? But still we come back again and again. We keep hearing the same thing again and again and again. That means the mind is getting some taste.
Yeah, definitely.
And because the mind is getting a taste, there is great hope. That's great.
Yes.
Yes. It's true, it's true. It's just like chanting is a form of repetition, actually hearing, the scriptures is also a form of repetition.
Because we don't have taste for Krishna. And how do you develop a taste? By hearing again and again and again. That's how we develop a taste. It's a sacrifice. It's the only way to do it is to hear again and again.
Yeah, sometimes I wonder about it, like even after hearing about Krishna for such a long time, why do you still feel like a stranger? So it's because, and Kapila Muni, he talks about that in his mother, the continuous hearing will revive that dormant, love, and it'll remove that forgetfulness. We're just in a deep state of amnesia and slumber.
And it's so interesting that when we hear about mundane things like mundane news or even things about our life or things about family members, we have been doing this continuously, but we never complain that, oh, I've been hearing about this continuously. For how long I have to hear about this? For how long I have to think about myself? That seems like, oh, this is the thing to do. But when it comes to hearing about Krishna, then our mind starts compelling. How many times have to hear this? Can we move on? Like this is how the mind reacts.
Actually, you just reminded me, like when I used to sit with my grandmother who raised me, every time I would go visit my grandmother, she would start talking about my childhood. And I remember I would sit there, listen to it with so much of relish. Oh, this is how I was. Oh, this is what I used to do. How cute, how sweet, this, that, whatever, right? And it just generates so much pleasure. But when we hear about Krishna's activities, it's like, oh yeah, of course, okay, whatever, let's move on, right?
So
what's the big deal? Because our identification is with this body, right? And so the body did all kinds of things. We listen to it, so we know what relish feels like. We know what relish is. The same story over and over again. My grandmother would narrate, and I would listen to it with relish.
And we, even for our own children, right? When we speak about our own children's childhood, there's so much relish. Oh, Nima used to do this. And even like us changing his diapers, topic of relish. So we used to change his diapers.
Yeah, and we know what that feels like in the material world. Now imagine that relish multiplied unlimited times for eternity, an increasing amount. That is our relation. That is the relish we are missing right now in our relationship with Krishna.
Because I guess that we are not accepting, or I'm not accepting Krishna as my own. And as long as he's a separate person, then okay.
He's somebody else's child.
Yeah.
So what, Yeah.
Can I add on something else?
Yes, please do. That's what we want.
Is that yeah, lately it's been very hard for me to, look at others and feel like they're more advanced and, all the envy stuff and that we were talking about before, all of that stuff. And something that I thought that I try to repeat to myself, it hasn't fully sunk in yet, is that we see other people as they are, not as they were. So we don't see the process that took them to get them to that point. And also we don't see the internal, things that they might still go through or struggle with too. We don't see that either. But talking about this, but everyone that I look up to probably had some sort of process to arrive at where they are. And I was thinking, I need to trust time and Krishna. I need to trust that time will do for me in time what it did for them in time. And that's just like a very difficult thing to do, because it's always like, I'm so impatient and thinking about the now, and it's hard to imagine what things are going to be like in the future. It's hard to imagine our future selves or what our lives might look like, even just like in a few months or years. And I think that for me, I kind of think that where I am is just where I will always be. But that's not true, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. It's not true. But at the same time, as you were speaking, I was also thinking earlier that how, we can rejoice in our present selves also. Like I was just thinking that so much to be happy about, and just the fact that we come together and we get a chance to form a circle and sit down and talk about Krishna, that is perfection. From here, there's only more perfection. So it's not that we are going from total imperfection to perfection. We're actually already in a state of perfection. We just don't see it. Like, this is it. Like the ability to sit together and hear about Krishna, talk about Krishna, laugh about, our own imperfections even. There's no loss and there's no diminution. And this is something we talked about the other day also, that we have to learn to be happy in our Krishna consciousness, wherever we may be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I echo with you. And I guess that when we hear about how Krishna is so kind and merciful, we don't have to, like how Putana came to kill him with poison, and yet Krishna made him his mother in the spiritual world. So if a person with that mentality can achieve that destination, so I have a lot of hope.
Yeah.
Although,
and we always have someone to look up to. Like, for example, we are here in Mayapur, and I was just sharing with Tarini and a few others yesterday that, I literally feel like a fly on the wall when we see the depth and the extent of their practices, the extent of their realization, the extent of their taste. But, it enlivens you, because the fact is that we are getting to see their enthusiasm actually is part of their perfection. We don't have to reach their level.
Just by observing them and participating in that,
we partake of it.
Just by receiving, we are. So it's a very different. I guess Krishna consciousness is a very different process than anything else we have done in our lives.
Yeah.
In our lives, we have been like achievers and go-getters and trying to get somewhere. And if I'm not there, then I'm not there. But here I guess in Krishna consciousness, just being the receiver is the safest. It's the place of great advancement, just being a receiver.
So what do you have to do? Like, suppose you're touching an electric socket and you're
electrified.
Not electrified. So what do I have to just touch you and I get electrified too?
Yeah.
Right. So there is nothing else to be done, just to come in contact. And we saw that, we've been experiencing that sitting here in Mayapur, that just by coming in contact with devotees who have a deep taste, our taste is automatic. You don't have to do anything. So, we feel so happy, Delia, just to see you and your taste and your inspiration. And you may see a different side of yourself, which you don't perhaps like, but that's immaterial. We see the shine. See, it's like a moon, and you're seeing the dark side of the moon, and we are seeing the bright lit. And there's like, this is a beautiful moon,
Full moon.
Thank you, Delia. Yes, Rebecca, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that I keep thinking about what you said the other night, Mataji, how that right now we are the furthest we've ever been as far as like, because I mean, I keep like mulling that over, and it makes so much sense to me that because you don't lose the progress that you've made on this path. So wherever we are right now, that's the closest that we've been. So, when I get to feeling very hopeless because I'm far from where I want to be too, have to remind myself of that. And sometimes too, if you look around, I mean, there are so many fallen souls and conditioned souls all around us. Like, at least we are on this path. I mean, that's beautiful in and of itself. But yeah, that this is the closest we've ever been.
Yeah,
and also this path has guaranteed success. Every other path, there's no guarantee for success, but this path, there's a 1000% guarantee of success. Even with all our imperfections, we'll all soon
in this lifetime.
Yeah.
I just saw my father leave. I mean, just a year back. It's about going to be a year since he left. And his departure was the greatest testimonial. He was not a sadhaka by any standards. I mean, he picked up chanting on and off. He had some attraction, but he also had lots of doubts. And yet, at the time of his leaving, the culmination of whatever little imperfectly done bhakti, it all came through, and I was stunned. I was stunned to see the kind of departure he had. So, you know, that gave me, you know, it was like evidence that, yeah, you know, it doesn't matter. You know, that is already taken care of. Our liberation, or, you know, our whatever it is that we're looking for, it's already there. Now it's just a matter of going from a green mango to a ripe mango. Just standing there, just hanging there in the sun of bhakti. Yeah, that's all. You just have to hang there. Just hang there. What does a mango do? Just hang. Yeah. So we need a title. I think Vishnuratha Amritwani have. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji Mataji, I just had one thing where you were mentioning that relishing our own pastime we enjoy, but relishing the pastime of Krishna we don't. I was thinking on the same analogy, like when our loved ones are in troubles, we are in pain immediately here, right? If I get a news that my dad is not doing well or something is not happening, immediately the heart it does not feel good and everything. Yet you start constantly thinking and praying. But the same thing never happens for Krishna. Like, we have been separated from Krishna for so long, but that longing or that pain for Krishna never arises like the way it arises for our loved ones. That is missing. I mean, that's that kind of a longing, that kind of a love, and that kind of a pain of a separation. I don't know why we don't feel it. I mean, we should.
And that's what we are trying through the process of chanting, through the